The Penguin finale has aired. It's fantastic. There are spoilers ahead, so you are warned. During the season, I've repeatedly said that this is one of the most well-written shows of the last decade. It's HBO. You should expect that. You have to give credit to the showrunner, Lauren LeFranc. She's done an amazing job, all set up by, what was created in The Batman. Everything that Matt Reeves created in The Batman, she has taken and run with it, and it's been fantastic. The writing's great. The acting is great. The set design is great. The production design and general sound, everything fantastic. Cristin Milioti is amazing, and obviously Colin Farrell steals the show. This is one of the origin stories that needed to be done. The Penguin has always been kind of a lame villain in my mind. Colin Farrell made him cool. So when we first see Oz at the beginning of this show, he's an anti-hero. You like him. He's kind of fighting back against the forces that be, the mafia that he's dedicated his whole life to that won't make him. He's not a made man. That's mentioned a couple of times. And you're rooting for him. He's trying to galvanize support among other crews, little gang squads that also have individuals like him, trying to bring them together. And it's very reminiscent to one of my favorite movies, The Warriors, where the gangs of New York try and unite. This finale was very dark, and it concluded in a way that this could be the only season of this show. I'm going to say in a little bit what I think is going to happen with this character, but I think this was set up to be a single season show, which is, from what I hear, going to run directly into the Batman 2. Rumors suggest that the Batman 2 is going to have Clayface as the main villain. This is interesting because the first one was the Riddler, which is an odd villain to throw in first. This is very different than Chris Nolan, which went with the Scarecrow, which was one of the original villains, and Ra's al Ghul, the League of Shadows. Those were villains that a lot of people didn't necessarily know about, but do have their basis in being in the origins of Batman's story. Jumping in with the Riddler was odd. We see in the deleted scenes from the Batman, the Joker, who is the arch nemesis of Batman, not playing a role. He even gets cut from the movie. So a lot of people thought the second one was going to be the Joker. We're now hearing that HBO is going to do a Joker series in the same vein as the Penguin. So that'll be interesting. I think, let's bring up this article. So this is the Hollywood Reporter interview with Colin Farrell. They ask him, what's the latest on the Batman Part 2? He says, I haven't read the script yet. Is there anything you would like to eventually experience with this character? He says, not really. I certainly don't expect anything. I signed up for 3 Batman films, but I didn't know if I'd be in the second film. Matt Reeves is a brilliant writer and an extraordinary filmmaker, and what I'm most excited / nervous about in the second film is not what Oz does, or what predicaments he finds himself in, or what moments of success he gets to, but what his voice is. How is his personality? It was forming and changing in a limited series, and by the end of the 8 episode, it concretized into something else. There is a degree of almost delusion, psychopathy present in the last scene. So how is it that taken up in the second film? So how is that taken up in the second film? I was told I have 5 or 6 scenes. So he has 5 or 6 scenes in the second one. I don't have any hopes or expectations. I'm really open. I'm really an open book, and that's the way I get excited by shit or not. I think sometimes actors, if they have a career that has a certain length of time, by some blah, 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 blah. All right. So what can we take away from that? What we can take away from that is, here's my theory. He's going to be in all 3 of the Batman films. That's why he was signed up from the beginning, because Matt Reeves has a vision. Because Warner Brothers usually wants people to have visions. This is why they liked initially guys like Zack Snyder. Unlike Disney, which this flies by the seat of its pants usually, we have seen Warner Brothers actually get creators who have a long-term vision. The Penguin starts out as anti-hero. We see when he murders Vic at the end and sends the Hangman back. He says he sends her to hell, which is back to Arkham, rather than killing her. He becomes the villain. We will see him play out as the villain in the second one, in the shadows. Clayface will be the main quote-unquote villain of the film, most likely, and he'll be sitting in the shadows, growing his empire. Kind of like a Palpatine in Empire Strikes Back, where we see him only a little bit, but we know he's driving Vader or whatever. The third one I am positing here, and we can check in 5 or 6 years or whenever it comes out, that he will be the main villain of that film, most likely with the Joker, and he is going to be a super villain at that point in time. So we're going to see him progress from anti-hero to villain to supervillain, and that supervillainess is going to come from him somehow becoming a metahuman in the same way the Joker becomes a metahuman and Harley Quinn. Okay, so I have one qualm with the way that the Penguin ended up, and that's the one of the last scenes, penultimate scene, I believe, or anti-penultimate scene, where the doctor slash boyfriend of the Hangman comes into her room and hands her a letter from Selena Kyle, Catwoman. It should have been Harley Quinn who came in. It should have been Dr. Quinn that came in to introduce her character into this, because we're going to see her most likely at some point, and this would have been a great opportunity to maybe set up Birds of Prey, where we can bring back Cristin Milioti as the Hangman in that, and also Catwoman as well. That's a great way I could see this going. Now, the best part of this finale is the Godfather 1 scene. All the rivals get whacked. They actually get whacked in it. So the Godfather scene has been adapted in various ways before. George Lucas did it in Revenge of the Sith when Order 66 is announced by Palpatine and all the Jedi get whacked. That's a great version of the Godfather scene. This was even more interesting because rather than one enemy going after 5 enemies, so it's the 5 families in Godfather, he uses internal revolutionaries to overthrow those leaders within each organization. So the Irish guys, the Hispanic guys, the Asian guys, the leaders are all overthrown by a younger mafioso. Brilliant. Love that. It's a very cool take on Coppola's Godfather 1 ending. This is Emmy level stuff. It deserves best dramatic show. Colin Farrell, Cristin Milioti also both deserve best actor and best actress. I hope that happens. Unlike the recent Joker film, which kind of told the fans to go to hell, this is something that's going to keep driving interest in the Batman world. And that's good for DC. And in this case, it's great for HBO, which remains the kingpin of television.